Now you begin by painting inside of the sections. I have 3 levels of values, so I will go with a light blue, a middle blue, and a dark blue. I started with my middle color. I ended up having to paint over this layer completely, but that is okay because we learned throughout the process. So I started with a middle blue and I put it into all of the different shapes. I changed my brush size, whether I needed to get into smaller, fine details, or if I had a bigger section to paint, I used a bigger paintbrush. Then I let that dry and I went in with my darker blue. I found that my middle blue was a little bit too dark, so I went over the whole thing with a better middle color. When you are mixing your colors, you're going to want to make sure that you're writing down how you got to that color combination somewhere in your sketchbook, so that when you come back the next day, you don't have to repaint over an entire section. There's lots of layers here. In each section, I went over it probably 2 or 3 times to make sure it was super opaque. Then I go in with my light tone of blue and I bring it out so that I can see a lot of the different contrast. I get a really small brush to bring in the details. Remember, eyes and mouths and noses, there are going to be some smaller details there, so get a refined brush to really bring those details in. When you watch me paint in this section, you are going to see that sometimes I have to go over the darkest color with the light, or sometimes I have to go over the light color with the dark. It's going to be a lot of a back and forth. So knowing which color combinations you use to get your middle tones or your light tones is super important. So keep adding all of your layers, and as you can see, I even go in and add an extra layer for my background so it looks very solid and clean. Some artists really love this process of creating crisp and clean shapes and lines in their artwork, just like the pop artists we've looked at. And some artists really love to create expressive brush strokes and layered and all different types of blending. The idea is to try out all of these different things as you're learning about artwork, and then when you start to have those types of experiences, you can decide which ones are the things that made you happy, and that becomes a part of your own personal style. So I hope you enjoyed creating your pop art portrait today, and you got to understand a little bit more about crisp, clean edges with your acrylic paint.